In this week's video, we're building a traditional style bookcase using molding and furniture feet from Osborne, as well as store-bought lumber. Stay tuned for a full tutorial. For this project, we're using 1/2-inch sanded plywood as the main structure for our bookcase. I'll be using this material for the top, sides, and bottom of the case, so I'll go ahead and rip it to its final width of 14 inches. This can be adjusted to 10 to 12 inches depending on how deep you want your bookcase to be, but I chose 14 inches to make room for some extra storage. Next, we can cut the 4 panels to their final length using a miter saw or circular saw. I'll cut the sides to length at 75 inches and the top and bottom to length at 40 inches. Once we add the furniture feet to the bottom, this will make the overall dimensions for our bookcase 80 by 40 by 14. Once all 4 pieces are cut to size, we can assemble them using some wood glue and finish nails. When assembling your box, it's very important to make sure that everything lines up flush and all of your cuts are square. This box will be the foundation for the rest of the project, so make sure to take your time when assembling. To add a little bit more strength to the connection points, I chose to pre-drill and install some wood screws onto each panel. This will help keep the wood from moving while the wood glue dries. These wood screws are on the top and bottom side of the cabinet and won't be seen during the final assembly, so there's no need to plug unless preferred. Before working on the face frame, I'll take a measurement from each corner to make sure the box is square, and then take measurements for the face frame stiles and rails. For the face frame, I chose to use this 1x2 primed lumber from the hardware store since we will be painting the bookcase white. I'll start by cutting 4 pieces to size that will give me the same dimensions as my cabinet box. To assemble the face frame, I'll add pocket holes on the top and bottom rails to make things easy during assembly. If you're staining your project, you can use unfinished 1x2 lumber for this face frame, or you can check out Osborne's 4x1 true stock lumber, which is available in multiple wood species and is great for cabinet face frame, table skirts, and more. Next, we can screw all of the face frame pieces together, giving us one solid assembly to attach to our box. Once the face frame is connected, you can add some wood glue to the front edge of the case and center the face frame. To attach the face frame, I just use finish nails since we are painting our project, and we can fill the holes with putty before finishing. The last piece I want to add for the face frame is a larger 3.5-inch rail at the top to give us a little bit more detail. I'll cut this piece to the same length as the top rail and add a few more pocket holes for attachment. I also chose to add a curved detail at the bottom side of this rail to give the project a little bit more texture. If you're interested in adding a similar detail to your project, you can check out this video above for a closer look. Now that our face frame is complete, we can add the beadboard backing to the case. A lot of times this thin backboard material can be cut to size using a sharp razor blade instead of a power saw. You can score the cut line a few times using the razor blade and then break it over a sharp edge to remove the excess material. I'll repeat this process for the length of the backboard, making sure that it's the same length as my case. To install the backboard, center it on the back of the case and tack it in place using some finish nails. To fully secure the backboard, I chose to pre-drill several pilot holes around the case and install using a small wood screw. When using this method, it's important to make sure that your pilot holes and wood screws line up in the center of your case material for a proper fit. The next step for this project is to add these shelf supports on the inside of the case using our leftover 1x material. I'll start by making some marks at 14.5 inches throughout the inside of the case, which will give us even spacing for 4 shelves. You can adjust these dimensions depending on the size of your project and how many shelves you wish to add to yours. Next, I'll cut the 1x material to length, measuring at 39 inches for the back support and 14.25 inches for the side supports. Before installing these supports, I'll rip them in half on the table saw to help hide them a little better under the shelves. Next, I'll cut the 4 shelves to size using the leftover 1/2-inch plywood from the case. These will also be cut to 39 inches by 14 1/4 inches, but may need to be adjusted depending on your project. To install the shelf supports, I'll add some wood glue to the back side and line them up on the marks that we created earlier. Then you can tack them in place using a finish nail, making sure to adjust the length of the nail depending on your material. To help add some more strength to the supports, I chose to pre-drill and add a wood screw on the outside of the case. These will help give the shelves some more strength, and we can fill these holes using some wood putty before finishing. Once the supports are installed, we can add the pre-cut shelves in place, making sure they fit snug into each spot. I chose to use the leftover plywood for my shelf material since we will be painting the project. However, you can use solid wood shelves if you prefer. To attach the shelves, I'll nail them to the support strips using a proper length brad nail. Next, I'll measure and cut 4 more rails to finish the front edge of the shelves. For these rails, I'm once again using the primed 1x2 lumber. This will give these shelves a thicker appearance while keeping down on the weight. Next, we can add some wood glue to the front edge of the plywood shelves and secure the rails in place using a brad nail. Once sanded and painted, these shelves will be flush with the rest of the face frame and appear as one solid piece. Now that our case is assembled, we can add the molding and trim to the top and bottom. For the bottom trim, I'm adding some of Osborne's panel molding part 893166. This molding measures at 7/8 of an inch tall and adds a subtle detail to the bottom edge of the cabinet. I'll miter these to the same length as the front and sides of our case and attach using some wood glue and a finish nail. This molding is available in beechwood and can be painted or stained, making it very versatile for many projects. Next, I'll measure and cut the crown molding for the top of the cabinet. For this, we're using the traditional cabinet crown molding part 74632 on our website. If you're interested in a more in-depth tutorial on how to cut crown molding, you can reference this video above. Once again, I'll install this crown molding using some wood glue and a finish nail, making sure that the miters line up properly. If you're interested in the molding and trim that we used in this project, you can check out the links in the description below. The final piece we need to add to this project is the furniture feet on the bottom of the cabinet. We chose the 5-inch cabriole foot from Osborne part 4106 for this project. And since we're painting this bookcase, I chose to pre-drill directly through the top side of the bottom panel and attach using a wood screw. We do offer other methods of attachment for furniture feet, so if you're interested in more options, check out the links below. To finish this bookcase, we can sand all of the puttied areas and apply a few coats of paint and primer for proper protection. Once finished, we can let the paint dry and take a closer look. Thank you for joining me for this episode. If you're interested in any of the products that we use in this build, be sure to check out the links below. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment, and we'll see you next time in the Builder Studio.